Hello and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show for you. We're going to be talking about John Lamb Lash, the Gnostics, heathenism, everything we can imagine with our one and only Jennie Griffin. Thank you for coming and being on tonight. And as you all know her from her in the chat as Musgrave Griffin. So if you want to know, so there you go. Anyway, thank you for coming on. Because we all have code words. Isn't that funny how we all get on YouTube and then we have this code? We take on a different name or personality, renaming ourselves.
Some do.
Yes.
Musgrave Griffin is Michael's Musgrave and I'm Griffin. So it's hyphenated.
Yeah. But it's still, and that's cool too. I mean, like I said, it's
and it's my name, it's his name, it's
but
not
it's
that coded.
But it's that persona that comes together instead of just coming out, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm sure everybody kind of gets it.
They call them avatars or something.
Yeah, it's like when we had old CB. You're old enough, the CB channels. Breaker 19. This is the Grasshopper. This is Rubber Duck. Kind of thing like that. Man, everybody went by some call name. It was so cool. Grew up watching Dukes of Hazzard. Kind of thing.
I was Giraffe. I was Giraffe back in those days.
Why
were you pretty tall? Well, I was 6 foot. I'm pretty tall. I was pretty tall. I've lost height now, but I was pretty tall. Yeah.
Wow, giraffe.
And I could run.
Well, yeah.
And I have I used to have a tall neck, but it shrunk too. So I was. That was my nickname.
That's cool. I was Shoestring.
Oh, were you now? Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
When I was a little kid, which is kind of funny because when I was a little kid, growing up, my call sign was Grasshopper, and then when I got to be old enough to drive and do things like that and stuff, then I felt like I graduated into a new entity, which I call myself Shoestring. So
well, good. That sounds good to me. Well, it sounds a real Central America, like what do they call it? Flyover. They call it flyover country now.
Yeah. Well, and it was after that song. I like that song, Shoestring ain't got no money. Shoestring don't hang around here. Shoestring, he's got his hat on backwards. You wouldn't know it if you asked him to, or something like that. And I can't remember the rest. But anyway, it was a pretty cool song.
We'll all get up and dance.
Yeah, it was. Right. I'm not much of a singer, but there you go. That's what it was. And I love that song. And I thought, that fits me. And that's the story behind that. We got a lot of people in the chat. We got Grandpa Brian, Diane Marino. We got Mary Wins, who's got another avatar drumstead tonight. And Nina the Mystic, who I'll be on with tomorrow night, doing Horns of the Goddess. So tune in to Nina's channel tomorrow night, Horns of the Goddess. We will be a reading from that book. It's really interesting because we take different plots of pieces of doing it like a play almost. She does one.
The Dolores Canon, right?
Yes,
the Dolores Canon. Yeah. Okay.
And we're learning lots of things about the Druids and the goddess. The goddess, and I'm having my own thoughts of the goddess now too. Like who is the goddess, and where does she come from, and why can't people see her? And, unless you're in the little group, and, why does she only come to the island? And so tonight we're going to kind of dig it deep into that kind of stuff, but with the Gnostic tinge from John Lamb Lash. Now he talks about Sophia And do you know the story of Sophia?
Well, John, he calls the Earth Mother Goddess Sophia, which distinguishes
Sophia. Yeah.
Exactly, but Gaia Sophia, because it rhymes. Gaia Sophia. But it distinguishes her from all the other Sophias.
It does. Sophia. Yeah, he does call her Sophia. Yeah, I got to thinking about that. I wondered if he was mispronouncing it or something. But then again, there's a lot of people who
it's an endearment, more or less.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And for anybody who, oh gosh, I had this up a second. Go ahead.
For those who haven't heard the story or read the story, because you can buy his first edition of Not in His Image, and I used to have it, but I gave it to somebody to read, and I'm pretty sure they're reading it. But in this one, this is the 15th edition.
Yeah.
And you can see the eyes. Can you see the eyes at above here? The eyes.
Yep.
These eyes. Well, when I was in Delphi, we stayed the night there, just one night. I wish we could have stayed longer. But in the pool, in the grove, we were up in the pine groves. And in the pool, that's what I saw. That's exactly what I saw in the pool. Yeah. It was very interesting to see that. And there's a story about those eyes that John could tell you better than I could, but it's about when he got it published and stuff. So, but that's here nor there right now. And so, as I was saying, what was I saying?
We were talking about
this book. This 15th edition is a Cliff Notes story, but in his first edition is the entire story, or you can get it if you go to I think it's Sophia mythos.com. I think it's something like that, or .org. You can sign up and he'll send you the story. Did you got that right? I sent it to you.
Yes.
The story. And so you can get it that way, or you can go on his you can go on his YouTube, and there's a whole it's over 2 hours. I think it could be even possibly close to 3 hours or more, but the entire 9 episodes. And it's wonderful to sit there and just have it, someone read it to you, it's so beautiful. And you can get caught up in the story, and then from there, reading his book, Not in His Image, just brings you back. And then I have The White Goddess too, and that's a book that he used a lot for reference. And this man here, he lived near him in the Mediterranean, and he wrote this book a long time ago. And so there's a lot of references in this book where he studied, and his whole life. I mean, he wrote the book, I think it was published when he was 61. So it was a lifetime journey in the writings, So and it'll explain it to me. It's a companion book to the Nag Hammadi,
which is.
And I had that, but I can't. I know it's in storage, so I don't have it on my person. But I can always.
I got it here somewhere if I can find. That's the thing when you you ain't prepared for that, then it comes up and it's like, there it is.
Oh, the Nakamati.
Yeah, I have it here on PDF somewhere, and I'm trying to find it. But
yeah, you can always get it on PDF.
Yeah, it's here somewhere, I think. But
I think
anyway,
most people that watch this show know the Nakamati codices.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I've read out of Nagamani. There's so many interesting things in there. It's just, you could read in there for all day. The book is hugely thick. Hang on a second.
I know it. I know it's big, thick.
Hang on.
When that book was in Claremont, that I used to live right by Claremont when they had that.
There we go. The Nagamati.
Yep, there it is.
Almost in arm reach.
That's it.
All the time.
Am I unmuted or muted?
No, I can hear you just fine. You're doing good. Keep it up.
Okay.
This is the best reception I've ever gotten from you. Don't go anywhere.
Right?
I mean,
so it's a very interesting book, not to get confused with the Dead Sea Scrolls found in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not because those were found in the Nag Hammadi was found in Egypt. And when you find out more about the Nag Hammadi, it was really during those times very upheaval. I mean, it was into the Dark Ages, and people that were learning, or they were initiates in the mystery schools, they would write notes. And so that's what the Nag Hammadi is. It's like maybe perhaps somebody that's from the Greece islands, and they spoke more about Pluto, or they knew, they had like a sermon, or not a sermon, but a lecture on Pluto. That's why the Pluto writings were there. I mean, it's not that Pluto, I think it's Pluto, I think it's Pluto in the Nag Hammadi codices too. And it was a very volatile time. And so that book is a compilation of like a student's notes. It's a notebook from a student from the pagan mystery schools. That's where that derived from, the codices.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
were the people writing it Gnostics? Who were the people writing it?
Okay, well, when you talk to John, okay, when John discusses it, he, in his studies, in his research, he found that these specific codices was written by a student in the pagan mystery schools, and it was a compilation of the students' notes from all of their learnings from the schools, and also the talk of the town was going, and this Christian upheaval was going on, and the Telestai, they warned the people about, they were an intellectual group. They weren't fly by night, let me read you some tarot cards. I mean, they were scientists, philosophers, mathematicians, strategists, lecturers, they were astronomers, high intellect. And so when the story of Hypatia, she was the last straw, on the camel's back, And when she was murdered, that brought in the Dark Ages and the Christians, and they were the ones that destroyed the libraries and murdered people and did horrible things. So
yeah. So back to where we're talking about the Gnostics. Are they,
yeah.
their teachings, and they weren't teaching Christianity now, were they?
No, they were warning against Christianity. They, like I have said, they were the intellectuals of thousands of years before Christians even showed up, and
Yeah,
thumbing their way up the street, trying to catch a ride on a mule or something,
and that's the thing. The I don't mean to interrupt, but that's the thing. You're right. There was more. People think that Christianity is the end all be all. There was nothing before, and there will be nothing after, because the world will end. But there was teachings, there was knowledge. There was plenty of knowledge before Christianity. Christianity
and morals. They were moral tribal people, and so I just have to throw that in,
Yeah.
because the Christians,
because
the Christians.
That.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. Yeah, you're right. People think that. I know from my upbringing that, if you're not, if the Christians weren't around, I've had people say, well, the world is losing Christianity, and because of that, the world's going into this crazy place. But not necessarily. Just because, say, someone wasn't indoctrinated into Christianity doesn't make them a bad person. They're still going to have morals. They're still going to know right from wrong. They ain't going to run around, I wasn't indoctrinated into Christianity, so I can go out and kill and rape and murder people and steal and do all that because I'm not a Christian, so I can do that. No.
Correct. Yeah.
It just means that you weren't indoctrinated into that religion.
And think about it. If you're, even if you are a Christian, okay, let's say there's two types of Christian. One would be the Nagamati that was Coptic. Okay, Coptic was a language that was developed by the local Egyptians as a shorthand. The Coptic is a shorthand of mostly Greek and Egyptian. So that's what Coptic is. Everything's, they take a word and then they shorten it up. And that's how it was developed. I was just going by what Lucky had mentioned on there.
Oh, yeah.
But Lucky Stone.
Yes.
So, but the Gnostics, let me start at the front side of this. The Gnostics were called Gnostics by those who didn't like them. The Gnostic was a derogatory word. It was a pejorative against what those who called themselves Teleste is a word that means those who are aimed. And by what they mean by those who are aimed, but it's more in an intellectual, spiritual, mantique type of knowledge. And they were a lot of times, because they were sky watchers, they knew what was going on between, nowadays they look at the sky and they look at planets, and not so much stars, but mostly planets. But how does the earth what is the Earth's relationship to the planets? Not so much what the planets are to the Earth, but what is the Earth to the planet?
And that's excuse me, but that is what I was trying to get at in the beginning, is when I asked you about Sophia, according to John Lamb Lash, and he said the story, and that's why I wanted to know, because and you put that out there really well. The Gnostics did. They watched the moon, the sun, the stars, all of that, and they came up with these stories from the past. And you know, I got to kick one of the dogs. Anyway, they came up with stories from the past to signify that. Like Sophia is actually the Earth, the goddess Sophia incarnated into the Earth that we live on. To you know, because you have the demiurge that came along, and she said, well, we'll put these, you know, physical human people on this Earth, and they will defeat the demiurge in the end.
Well, and the demiurge. Oh, sorry. What?
Oh, go ahead. I said she believed that they would defeat the demiurge in the end, and they would make sanity out of the chaos, and they would figure things out. But she needed the people. The people could do it, and so she morphed into this planet called Earth, or we call her today Gaia. Is that not right? She is the goddess. That's why she is unlike all the other planets.
Yeah. Well, as far as what John has found in his research, that the demiurge is not even he's really not even back in the day, back when we're talking about before all this, before the Dark Ages came into being. The Gnostics, they call themselves the Teleste. Okay, they were the intellectuals. They warned against the god of the demiurge. They warned from him that. So I'm not exactly following what you're trying to say.
Okay, well, maybe you can explain it better. Like I said, you know, I'm kind of novice. I'm trying to pick out things and you know, ask you questions on there. You're the professional answerer.
I don't know about that, but I'm learning too, because this is it's very kind of basic, and when you think of all the mythologies, when you put them together, especially like the Druids, the Irish, the Aryan, the Norse, those they complement one another. You know, they complement. The Sophianic myth complements the Norse myths and the Druid myths. And the Druids, they were high on the hog as far as the dreaming, and that's what Sophianic mythos is all about, is the dreaming, you know, which I found fascinating myself, because I'm an Irish too. I'm from the Irish pack. And so it's fascinating to me that there are those that find it fascinating as well. And they're looking more into an alternative of this demiurge, archonic, maniac, psychopath, really feeble God, you know?
Yes.
That's the way I look at it.
Well, exactly. Well, the God of the Bible, the God that the church and the religions seem to follow, there's a lot of people who don't pay attention to all the things that are actually written in there. I mean, sure, there's some good things that are said, but if you really follow the story, it's not so good. But yet when somebody says, oh, I this happened or that happened and blah, 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 we got other things out there. No, that is the evil thing. The God in the book is the good thing, but things are reversed around. See? And according to John Lamb Lash, here's the saying he has: not knowing evil, then you are accessible or you're vulnerable to it. So by not knowing and not being knowledgeable, like the Gnostics were, you become vulnerable to the evil. You don't have to. And I think that's what happens when these people join the church or a cult, which the church is a cult. When you join any kind of group and you say, I believe what you believe and I'm not going to believe anything else, then you're in a cult. And then you forget about everything else, and that limits your knowledge. I mean, science right now is in the cult form, saying, like, we'll just say climate change. You believe in climate change? Well, absolutely. Otherwise, if you don't believe in climate change, then you're on the outs, because, hey, and so it's like, even if is it right in saying that my exhaust or the cow farts enough that it's going to change the atmosphere. You see what I'm saying? And so if you don't believe that, then, something's wrong with you, that cow farts are changing the world we live in, or maybe that the exhaust pipe on my car produces so much exhaust fumes that pretty soon we're not going to be able to breathe anymore. But yet volcanoes and forest fires are happening all over. I mean, all you got to do is go outside your door and take a whiff, and you can pretty much smell smoke from some forest fire in some place somewhere.
And the doo-doos.
Yeah.
Right? Can I say that?
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
DEWs. The DEWs.
Yeah, go ahead. That's good.
Like, okay, when you go into look at Maui, what happened? It's a war zone. What happened in California? It's a war zone. You see it with your own eyes, and you're devastated. It looks like you're in Baghdad, after Bush bombed them, carpet bombed them. That's what it looks like.
Yes.
That's what Maui looks like. That's what California looks like.
So here's something what the Gnostics said. There is, and I got a little bit of something out of the Gnostics today. I did a lot of studying on them. And it said that there is no evil in the world.
People are evil.
Yeah. Yes, man creates the evil. There is no evil. There's nothing evil out there that's going to get you. Man creates his own evil. I learned that. And that, people say, and I took this to heart too, that the world we live in is an illusion. And I thought about that because I'm thinking, the world is an illusion, but the world is an illusion. It is not an illusion. This is a physical world that we live in.
Correct.
The illusion is created by man, thinking that you need the latest.
All the lies, the propaganda, all all the writings. When you can read 10 books, but if they're all confirmation bias, then you're not going to have the other side of the story.
That's right.
The prosecuting dossier on the pagans back when Irenaeus wrote his book, against something. It's called against. I'll think of it. But he wrote how horrible these Telestae were, and they were the compassionate, loving, giving, generous intellects of the time. They were the They were the teachers of the whole Mediterranean basin and the Levant and Egypt, and all the way through over to the Caucasus Mountains. That's where they really all came from, where they derived, where they, oh, sorry, my hands were right in front of there.
No,
that's good. Where they, I got my knee up on my, so that's where they all they immigrated all through that area into all over the world. They went all over the world, you know. They were seafarers for one, you know.
Yes.
So
with that in mind, you're right. The propaganda, we live in that now, today. If only we could wake up and realize that, you know, the world, you know, the smarter people in the world, the ones that make it through, are realizing that everything is this illusion, and they don't pay attention, and they can see through the smoke to get to the real answers. They know that, hey, you know, I don't need to buy the latest cell phone. I don't need all these propaganda I don't believe that every time they say, oh yeah, this happened, and you know, the fires just started spontaneously. Yeah, really? Yeah. And it just happened that, you know, weeks before, you had all these plans in case there was a big fire. You know, I mean, yes, they could have started.
It's planned. There's white papers on it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you did, you know, the thing is you did so much planning ahead of time in case this happened, and then it just miraculously happens. Like, really, you know, wow. And nobody thinks of that. See, that's the thing. Can you see through that smoke-filled room? And that's the illusion. The physical thing is all the buildings burnt down. The physical thing is that people lost their lives. You know, as same with all these other events. People are in the physical. They're losing their lives. They're getting tortured. We're going to war. But can you believe all those things about the war? Or is most of that a propaganda illusion? And then the thing is most people who are going to war don't even know what they're fighting about. Do they really know what is going on and why they're doing the fighting?
No, you know, everything's compartmentalized, you know.
Yes, exactly.
Like NASA.
Yeah. Yeah, like NASA. Exactly. Exactly. So the Gnostics, to stay on track with this, the Gnostics were the teachers of, you know, seeing through the illusion. That's what I take out of all of that. They were the.
I agree. I agree.
Yes. So what's your take on these Gnostics and what John Lash has said, or, you know, some of his teachings in his book? I know I haven't read the whole book. It's a pretty good sized thick book, as you can tell. It's got enough in there that you could be reading for days, people.
It's a college humanities textbook, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
I've taken humanities in college, and it looks like, I mean, all the writing's right there, you know. Sure, Marcus Aurelius and Aristotle and things like that you read in humanities as well, you know. But
Diane says, oh, go ahead.
What?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. All right. Oh, Diane says it's all about the children. Yes, it is, because you know why it's about the children? Because the children are innocent. They are not programmed yet. That's why when they look at all these children for, you know, rituals or things, is because the children have not been corrupted. They come into this world with all of their chakras in line. All of their things are perfect. And little by little, this world shakes them up, corrupts them, blinds them, and then they become people like us who are wishing our chakras, our mindset, everything could go back to that. And we have to work really hard to get that way. What do you say to that?
Well, I say you're absolutely right. And Diane, she really hit the nail on the head, because children are being forced into all these horrible, tyrannical situations. They never asked for that. Excuse me. Excuse me. You know, I'll be like John or what's his name? McPhee. Excuse me, God. No. Excuse me. No. I love that guy. But anyway, John really helps you open your eyes and your heart, because he's lived his whole life looking and searching and researching and experimenting and experiencing. I think I made it up a new word. The relationship one can have with Mother Earth. It's it's like a surfer going out and surfing and getting in the curl of the wave. It's the painter, painting. It's the gardener gardening, the farmer in his farm farming the land. It's the mountain climber. It's the woman giving birth. It's so many things. We have animals here, and when you feel the organics of Mother Earth, and you see the organic light coming out of the earth, this beautiful soft light with these strings of gold. It's beautiful. And it's healing. I've been healed by it. I've seen the organic light several times now, and it's like no other light that you could see. And when Sophia comes up and you're just full of sweat from being out in the garden, and you're pushing the tiller or whatever you're doing, and then this soft, cool breeze comes over, and you just get this essence right in your nose. It's right in your nose. It's just like a little dewdrop in your nose. And I could be sitting here at this window looking out, and I could get that Mother Earth essence, and it just pours over you. You're in love. People are saying, oh, we have to increase our frequency of love. Well, the love, when you have that organic light, that organic, I can't explain it. When you have this sensation, this essence that's just in you, it fills you up. And it's very healing. It heals your spirit, your body. I've had my knees have been healed from it. Emotional healing. It's just a magnificent thing. Are we off?
No, we're on. We're good. Keep going.
Okay. So that's my experience with the organic light. And it's like no other light. I've had near-death experiences. And when I was at the bottom of the San Francisco Bay, that's the first time I saw it, and that was in 2012 when I saw it the first time.
Can you elaborate on that and explain it to us a little?
Well, I had gotten off of work, and I went into this place where I normally eat, where I had normally would go in and I would have a restorative, have my dinner, and then I go home. And this one gal friend that I had was sitting at the bar, because that's where we would eat, because that's where we would just you go and belly up to the bar and have dinner right after work. And so anyway, this girl showed up with this other gal, and the girl happened to be one of my old roomies. I roomed with her when I worked in San Francisco the first time. And so this lady, she stayed there with me to eat. I don't know why. And then the next thing I knew, I was flat on my ass. And so I went to this is a horrible story. And so then I ended up going on to her boat, and it was horrible. I was roofied. Okay, I was roofied, what they call roofied. You know that?
Yes.
And so by the time I don't know what happened. I really don't. But all I remember is when I was at the bottom of the San Francisco Bay, my face was right in the sand. And I looked up, and there was this sound, and it's not a sound that I can explain, but it was just a sound. And then I looked up, and I saw my sister-in-law, who was gone, and my grandfather, who was gone, and it was just pure gold. And I was in the water, underneath the water. And so I looked up, and I looked around, and all I could hear, I didn't, hear it like verbally hear it, but it was like, "You're not finished." And I looked up, and then I saw this poofy white glow come over me, and I was pure gold. And I just went up to the surface of the water and got out of the water and called the police and did all that. And
so she roofied you, put her on her boat, and then dumped you overboard?
I don't know what happened exactly.
But by a miracle, you that bay isn't the warmest water either, nor is it the shallowest. It's a pretty deep bay.
So, but anyway, that was my near-death experience.
Wow.
My latest one.
Yeah, you are truly that was a divine intervention there, because you said that That would have
She
been a
was
hard
right on. Well, that was the beginning of her correction. It was the beginning of her correction when you look back at the skies and everything. And I remember that I had to call my bank, which I bank with USAA, so it's real easy to call them. You can call them in the middle of the night, you know.
Yeah.
And I had to call them, and I had to call the police, and the guy that did it was a guy that did it. A guy put a roofie in my drink because he came up to me several months later after it happened, and he told me he just got out of jail, that he roofied me that time when I went in the bay. He said, and it was part of my restitution that I had to tell you that I did it. It was an order from the judge that he had to tell me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it wasn't the chicklet. It wasn't the chicklet that roofied me.
Oh, it was a guy.
It was
Yeah.
guy.
Because Nina's saying, wow, did she get punished? So the guy got punished.
The guy went to prison for it.
Wow. Wow. But at least you survived, and you're here today to tell your story, and that's what's important. And your knowledge.
But that was my first experience, and I really didn't know at that time. I did pick up Not in His Image right around that time and was reading it. But it was during a time when I was working, and I worked long hours. I worked all over the country. I worked with very talented surgeons, and you know, I didn't really get into the book like I could have at the time, and I didn't until just about probably 7 or 8 years ago, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating because, see, and that's the thing is, you know, and I realize that a lot of people, they want to learn knowledge, but if you're not ready for the knowledge, doesn't matter how much you study, if you're not ready for it, you can't understand it. You know, I could, that's why people say, oh, you know, I want to learn so much stuff and I want to do, but you can't if you're not ready to learn that. That's why you can't go in your spirit body to the Akashic records and say, I want to learn how to build a rocket ship to fly to Mars. And you can't, because you aren't ready for that knowledge. You have to be in that frame of mind to, you know, get that knowledge, to understand it. I mean, how many of us would know all the equations and all the things and have the ability to make use of that knowledge? I mean, that knowledge would be kind of useless. It's like giving a cell phone to a caveman. What would he do with it? You know,
probably, I don't know what he'd do with it. He'd probably
well, exactly. Probably use it as a mirror and look at it and go,
I'm like, what's this?
Look, I got a good to be, you know. But anyway, you know, but see, that's the thing. The cell phone or the computer would have all the knowledge he could ever use. He could build a boat, he could build a house, he could do all of these things, and yet he's using it for a mirror because that's what he sees. That
black mirror.
Yeah, black mirror. And he might think it's evil because it's a black mirror and then just bust it, because that's his perception in the physical world of what that is. Not because he doesn't know what it all contains. And to his mind, it's not perceivable that all of that information is in that small spot.
They would think that it had some evil spirit in it.
Yeah, because they couldn't comprehend it. Lucky says, we have all the knowledge that we need. There's nothing wrong with anyone. And he's right. You have all the knowledge that you need. And if you want more, you have to work for that knowledge. You can't just go and get it it just doesn't come to you in a dream unless you're ready for it. But you have to work for it.
Some dreams will tell you where to go on the path, though. They'll show you the path, and then you have to choose the path in a dream. But I'll tell you the funny thing about Not in His Image was when Wayne first had years ago now, had Trina on, and she was talking about the Pleroma. Well, that's when it clicked in my head. Oh, I know about the Pleroma. I read all about it in John Lamb Lash's book. And so then I got the book out again and read it again. And then I realized what the NHC, the Nag Hammadi codices, and I really started searching and researching and reading and discussing like we're doing now. And at a very realistic level, grounded level, and meaning, you have the research under your belt, not just coming out of, you're flying out of your monkeys,
Yeah, I know. So, I know what you're.
So, I mean, you have to have, some kind of grounding when you're discussing these kinds of things. And, the Gnostics, they were compassionate. They were loving. They were very generous. They were highly, highly intellectuals. So, and they were shamans. Some, not all. They were shamans. They were into medicine. They knew medicine. They knew spiritual stuff,
And this is probably why the religions of the world didn't like them very much.
You got it. You got it.
Because if we can't indoctrinate you, and you want to teach people real knowledge, that doesn't work for us. Controlling all the knowledge just seems to be there. What I'm trying to get at with a lot of this stuff is how it plays out today. We're kind of talking about the past. We're talking about the Gnostics. We're talking about all these things, but really none of that has changed. It's all here today yet. It's just that we fail to see this. We're living in this world with rose-colored glasses, not knowing what is really going on. And we need to wake up and say, hey, we need to be more agnostic than we need to be more other things to see through the smoke, through the illusion that's out there. What you say to that?
Well, I understand what you're saying, and the thing is that Gnosticism is ancient. We have to bring it up to make it modern for our time now. Now, in our time frame, in what we're going through now. So, not just the mystics and the Gnostics, the shamans, but the Norse, the Druids, the witches, the Wiccas. We need to, I think, get together and be able to embrace one another's ideas, and not so much ideologies, but how they feel in the heart without the ideologies. And just to make a note, this Jewish mystic, he is from he teaches at the university level in, I think, in Israel, and his name is Gershon Sholem. And he says that the Gnostics are the greatest case against the Semitics, meaning the languages of the Semitics, which are the three languages: the Hebrew, the Aramaic, and the Arab. It's not a race. Being Semitic is not a race. It's a language. Languages have genders. Humans have sex. Not meaning, well, they do have sex, but they have sexes. There's two. There's a masculine and a feminine. And in 1870 was the first talk about anti-feminism, which those were the first words in 1870. Anti-feminism was the first time it was used in writing, among others. But abigenesis, I can't pronounce this word very good, miscegenation, meaning that it was taken by government targeting women who married men of other nationalities. And it was anti-feminism. And in 1927, Showboat was a melodrama about miscegenation and lofty aspirations, which was irregular for that time, from 1870. So I graduated. Yeah. I started high school in 1970, which was 100 years later. So I remember when growing up, we hardly even had Black people in our neighborhood. You know what I mean? We were all Caucasian.
Yeah, I remember that too. I remember seeing my first. I was in school, and we had our first Black kid, and people were kind of afraid of him because nobody's seen anybody like that before. I mean, not to say that it was crazy, but nobody was like that, so it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
we had him over to our house. We had him over to our house. We became good. He became good friends with our family. I forget we had a nickname for him, and I can't remember what it was. But my dad loved him because my dad was a baseball coach, and he played on his baseball team. So. Oh yeah. We knew him because through sports and stuff. And but it's weird that how this propaganda has made people that were once congenial neighbors in community, and how now we're all being separated and used against one another, and how male and female have been used against each other, and they started it major propaganda through the government in 1870. So it hasn't been that long ago.
But in all respects it has, because you only need to change a generation or two to get your corrupt people, because the first people that heard this equal rights and all this other stuff and female power and stuff were like, what are you talking about in 1870? You know what I'm saying? You're thinking, what are you talking? This isn't the way the world's been for thousands of years. But after a few generations, look where we're at. Now you're
And
turning
it's
on
all we can thank the we can thank the Bible for it.
yeah, or literally.
I mean, we can you really have to put the the soup bone in the soup to really figure out how to make it, you know.
Yes.
And
yeah.
this it's so terrible what they've done to our society, and the only way we can change it is to make and to know that Sophia is there. She's doing what she can do, and we have to know and we have to acknowledge that she is there, and she is there to help us, and there are entities that will help us.
Yes, and I think
this
people, this is the illusion, according to what I read or what he said was, Sophia came here, came the earth, so that humans could, basically raise themselves up and become, make things better. And we're not doing a very good job of it. I think at some point
because we've been swaggled, and a lot of people, if they could just put all the other things aside that they may have, that they adhere to. You don't have to lose the love. You don't have to lose the compassion. You don't have to lose the camaraderie, the family, the patriarchal system is dying. Thank God. Thank the goddess. Thank the goddess. Because she's in correction. She's been, it's time. Like my grandmother used to say, when you go around, what is it that she used to say? It'll always come around full. Oh God, I'm sorry. What did she say? I can't remember.
Everything comes around full circle. It comes around.
Everything comes around full circle. That's right.
Yes, my grandma used to say the same thing.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, and now it's coming full circle. It's taken a while, and so there's some theories that it really hasn't been 2,000 years. It's only been like almost like 1,000 years, or I mean, we've really been lied to about a lot of things, most everything, And if you want to read about what it was like for a Gnostic, read John Lamb Lash's book, Not in His Image. And he'll explain it to you. But it takes time to read. You can't read it in one night. And I've probably read it like 3 or 4 times now. So every time I read it, I learn something new.
It's definitely a big, thick book, and there's no getting by it really easy. It's something you have to be dedicated to read. Like I said, it's real thick. I'm really not.
And it is dedication.
Sell his book, but we are talking about it. So, but I suggest if you feel this way, you want to learn more about the Gnostics, more about John Lamb Lash and all his studies. Now, this guy's put a lot of studying in. This is the book we're talking about. This is the guy we're talking about. Sophia and the Archons. He talks a lot about that. It's got a lot of good sayings here. The most effective way to defeat the patriarchy is to defy and disown its self-legitimate narrative. The most effective way. That one's the same one. Monotheism begins with a god who hates trees. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of
trees, the Druids will tell you that.
Yeah. Empathy for the plight of the goddess may be essential in seeing how to face our plight on earth. So that's talking about basically, if you can see history, you won't repeat it. If you see her plight for us, then maybe we will step up to the plate. That's the way I see that.
Yeah. Well, we have to step up and address and confront, which is hard to do sometimes. But we have to just say no to a lot of things that they want us to adhere to. But I say no to it. Like the blue nose. The blue nose, just say no.
The God who hates trees is the founding father of patriarchy. Yeah. Oh, especially, did you hear about the new thing where they want to cut down 70 million acres of trees and dig a hole and put them in the ground? Come on, really, people? Are you going to let that happen?
Yeah, because they know the power of the tree. Did you know that the tree during the day will pull up water from the ground, and and at night it releases all the water, and the water goes back into the ground? Like some trees, can be thousands of gallons of water just in one tree.
Yeah, but now that they're talking about cutting down all the trees, putting them through a process of salt water, digging giant holes and burying these trees in the holes. And that means no lumber for you. That means no wood products for you. They'd rather cut the tree down and bury it in a hole than let you burn it in your stove, make a nice deck, or build a house out of it. They would rather dig a hole and put it in and cover it up to never see it again. Now, what is that going to do to nature if you go and cut all the trees down? You're going to upset the balance of the earth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's upsetting just to hear it. Yeah, it's horrible what they're trying to do. Yeah, and I don't want to, I just don't want to say, I don't want to give them credence, but we all know who they are.
Yes.
We all know.
Another one they want to do? They want to go to the ocean and they want to suck up the water, pull out the carbon in the water, the carbon dioxide in the water, and then put the water back in the ocean.
They're dumbasses.
Yes, exactly. They're terraforming. They're terraforming our planet, and we need to see through that veil and say, no, you're not going to cut down my tree in my front yard because you're going to bury it in some big hole out back. I like my tree. I mean, what are they talking about? I just don't get it.
Well, they want us to eat bugs.
Yes.
They want us to eat bugs, not tomatoes.
Get rid of the cows, things like that. Anyway, well, we've gone through our hour and then some, people. Go over to Max Vision, check him out. He's going to be doing a show here shortly, and I'm going to put the link in here. He's probably got it. He's probably already over there. Go join Max do some remote viewing. Maybe he can tell you what's going to happen with the trees and where they're going to bury them. You never know. Also, tomorrow night, join me and Nina the Mystic on her channel. And we will be doing Horns of the Goddess. And if I can find it here, I will post that too somewhere. I know it's here somewhere. And anyway, join us there where we can, we're going to have our show, and we'll be doing Horns of the Goddess. It's very interesting, talking about the Druids, things like that. You can't beat it. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it. It's one of those things that, I look forward to. Anyway, everybody in the chat, we got Susie Q, Cowboy Boots, who says, no more Christmas trees. He's probably right. Well, Lady Spellbreaker came to join us. Lori Elderkin, Susie Q, Nina the Mystic, Max Vision. Chloe was in the house, even though she's working. Deborah Sloan, Lucky Stone, Courtney MC from Stars of the Morning Light. Don't forget to go and join her on her channel. If you haven't, go and subscribe to Stars of the Morning Light. She's got a lot of interesting stuff, from Akashic readings to card pulling to Edgar Casey shows. So join her. Travis the Reed Cup. Yeah, what's up, people? Reed Culp. Oh, yeah. I haven't seen Travis here so anyway, there you go. But anyway,
Travis Reed Culp.
Yeah, that's
I used to know a Kenko. I went to school with a Kenko.
Okay. Anyway, missed him earlier when he came on. Diane Martino was here tonight. Yay! I love Diane. Max G, she's here. We all love Max G.
Oh, man.
Anyway, their Cowboy Boots is full of good sayings like
Cowboy Boots.
He says they're making you have to go into smart cities, and if you don't know what a smart cities is, go check it out, find out more. Oh, he says that's my dad's name. Oh, well, good deal, Travis. Thank you for joining us tonight. Really enjoyed having you here. Anyway, thank you, Jeannie, for being on tonight. We can't get enough of you, especially when your camera and stuff works wonderfully tonight. Man, if we could just have every time like this, I will be awesomely impressed, because it was great to have you actually talking, hearing you, seeing you all at the same time. I don't know what you did on your end, but it is great.
Let me say, 'tis better by far at the rainbow's end to find not gold, but the heart of a friend. Thank you, Robert.
Oh, well, thank you for coming on. I enjoy your knowledge so much.
I enjoy you too.
You know, I mean, you have a lot of wisdom.
Oh,
anyway,
well,
we're all about wisdom.
A lot of hard knocks. Thank
That's
you.
right. That's right. Remember, everybody, go out, do something nice for somebody, and your neighbor. You know, do you know your neighbor? Are they bad people or good people? Check them out. Wave to them. Smile. If nothing else, maybe you will make a friend. At least, you know, when the apocalypse comes, they will say, hey, that guy smiled at me. I ain't going to go tear his house down and burn it to the ground or something. You know, I'm just kidding, people. But anyway, it'll make you feel better. Giving for
We're breaking
your heart. Yeah, well, it's all right. It's the end of the show. Remember, we'll, you know, go check me and Nina out tomorrow night. Remember, go out and be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. Love you all. Peace, everyone.